So on this third example, for the normal and tangential components, this is the last example for normal and tangential components. The boxes travel along the industrial conveyor. If a box as shown in the figure starts from rest at A and increases its speed such that AT, or the tangential acceleration, is equal to 0.2 t meters per second squared, where the time is in seconds, and what you need to determine is unsa ang magnitude of its acceleration when it arrives at point B. So, nga toa is we need to determine unsa ang iyahang acceleration if ever the box will reach at a certain position, which is at point B, and ang acceleration when it arrives at point B would be equal to 5.36 meters per second squared. So we will solve this third example problem. So just a solution for this one. Ang first na tubuhaton sa kanina problem is we establish the coordinate system. So coordinate system is the most important. So always ninyo ma-establish ang coordinate system. Here, na-establish na to ang location sa to ang initial location or initial position, and also the final position, and also the um, normal and tangential axis, or the N and T axis. So kani magamit nato ni siya kaning sa figure para sa tong analysis sa to ang problem. Next is for us to determine the um, magnitude of the acceleration when it arrives at point P, ang atong gamiton in this part is the given equation sa acceleration, which is the tangential acceleration, which is AT is equal to 0.2 t, and um, since ang atong tangential acceleration is 0.2 t, manatong gamiton for us to determine the magnitude of the acceleration when it arrives at point B. So kailangan nato pangitaon unsa ang what will be the time, kay wa man ta kabalo kanunsa siya, or unsa ang time na mag-arrive siya at point B. So sa acceleration, kung i-consider na to ang acceleration, for the tangential acceleration is AT is equal to 0.2 t, and for the normal acceleration is using the equation na v squared over d rho for the radius of curvature. So ang problema nato ani is wala ta kabalo unsang time kung asa mag-arrive siya sa point B starting at point A as shown sa tong figure, And also, wa ko to kabalo unsa ang iyahang velocity when it arrives at point B. So if we go back to the equation sa tangential acceleration, which is at is equal to 0.2t, so that would be at is equal to 0.2t. This one, pwede na to ni magamit for us to determine the equation of the velocity since um, kaniman siya ang ato ang tangential acceleration is a variable with respect to time. So, the same lang atong ginabuhat sa kinematic equation before. So, kung i-consider nato ang 80, di ba ang 80 nato, that is the um, first derivative of the velocity with respect to time. So, that would be the dv over dt is equal to 0.2t. And when we cross multiply that, may mo siya dv is equal to 0.2t dt. And for us to determine the equation sa velocity, we can use, we will integrate both sides. So pwede itong definite or indefinite integral. If you still remember sa ito ang gidiscuss sa kinematic equation. So if we integrate both sides, and if we use definite integral, ang ato ang in terms sa upper and lower limits sa left side na naang velocity, ang iyahang lower limit or ang iyahang starting velocity or initial velocity is zero, okay, since it starts from rest man, so that would be zero. And the final velocity is unknown, so mao na ang v. Iwa man ta kabalo unsang iyahang velocity. And ang time, still, initial is zero, and the time is still the unknown, which is the variable t. So kung i-integrate nato ni siya, that would be v, 0v is equal to, this one is 0.2 over 2 t squared 0t. And when we simplify that, ang equation sa itong velocity would be equal to the 0.1 t squared. So, magamit nato ni siya for us to determine the velocity for the normal acceleration, kaning v squared. So, we can use this equation na v is equal to 0.1 t squared. Ang problema lang is ang time. So, na to pag determine sa time mismo. So, ang time, just a continuation dire, kung balikon na to ang equation sa velocity na 0.1 t squared, di ba ang velocity nato, that is also the first derivative of the path sa to ang box based sa to figure, so which is ds over dt. So that is the derivative of the path with respect to time. So that is equal to 0.1 t squared. And kung i-cross multiply nato, that would be ds is equal to 0.1 t squared dt. So the same lang, when we integrate each side sa itong equation, we can use definite or indefinite integral. So ang in terms sa um, position or sa s, is it starts from 0, and unsang iyahang makonsider na um, final position. Ang final position nato is starting from point A going to point B. Okay, so kung game circle, it starts from point A going to point B. So ang iyahang um, distance is kani straight, then pa-curve until mabot siya sa point B nato. So that would be its final position. So kailangan nato pangitaon ng distance na or ang length sa iyahang path. So that would be we will name that as SB. So ang SB nato natay 3 meters. So natay 3 meters kaning um, straight path. So 3 meters plus kaning sa curve path. So kaning sa curve path, unsa nato pag-determining sa curve path, we can actually use the circumference of the circle. So using the circumference of the circle, di ba? Ang definition sa circumference of a circle, unsang circumference of a circle? Anyone who can tell me what is the circumference of a circle? Nga naman circle ni siya because this is a quarter part sa imong circle. So, naman ang equation sa circumference sa tong circle. Unsa ang equation sa tong circumference sa tong circle? C is equal to what? Pila man? Okay, since we're talking about the distance or the length kaning sa curve, since this is a quarter circle, um, ang ang curve length sa atong circle is actually the circumference of a circle. So, what will be the equation sa circumference sa atong circle? Na pwede na ito magamit sa itong equation. Anyone? Isang circumference sa circle? Two pi r. That is 2 pi r. Nga naman 2 pi r. Kay 2 pi kay tungod, since you're talking about circumference, 2 pi means 360 degrees man times the radius, so that would be the 2 pi r. And then since kung i-divide na siya by 4, so kaning curve path nato diri sa industrial conveyor is the 1/4 sa tong circle. So ang circumference equation na gamiton nato is 1/4 sa circumference sa circle, which is 2 pi r over 4. So that would be 1/4 sa circumference. That is 2 pi r over 4. So we can use that to add sa 3 meters. That is the distance from A to B. So yung final position mismo. So that would be 2 pi times the 2 over the 4. 2 meters over the 4. So unsa man ang final position sa box at point B until ma-reach niya ang point B? What is the final position sa to ang position? Final position sa to ang point B at point P sa tong box. So 3 meters plus 2 pi times 2 meters over 4 pi laman. 6.14. So 6.14 meters. So mo ang final position. So 6.14. Okay? But anyway, later natin i-call ang 6.14. I-call sa natong S. And there is a time, the same po, 0t. So, ang integration ani would be S, 0S is equal to integral of 0.1 t squared, 0.1 over 3 t cubed, 0t. So, pag simplify na to, that would be S is equal to, pila to ang 0.1 over 3? Pila tong value sa 0.1 over 3? Pila yung fraction kung naka-fraction? 0.1 over 3. 1 over 30. So, 1 over 30 iyahang fraction form kaning 0.1 over 3 t cube. So, kanina equation, mo nang equation sa position at any time. Ang kanina, velocity at any time, and ang kani 8t is equal to 0.2t. That is the tangential acceleration at any time. So, at point B, ang iyahang final position ana would be 6.14 meters. Okay? So, at para ma-reach niyang point B, the final position of the box would be 6.14. So, that would be SB is equal to 1 over 30 TB cubed. So, we can determine the time kung asa mag-arrive siya at point B. So, that would be 6.14 is equal to 1.30 TB cubed. So, we can determine the time na mo arrive siya at point B. So, tubuhaton ani is pwede na to i-cube root. Cube root lang na to or multiply with 1/3. Kay ang meaning man sa cube root is 1/3 man, exponent of 1/3. So, we just only determine the cube root para mawala ang exponent na 3 sa tuang time. So, this would be cube root of 6.14 is equal to the cube root of 1 over 30 TB. Okay? So, pag simplify is, or para dili na lang mo magkuan, ato buhaton na nato diri would be i-multiply na lang nato daan ang 30 sa 6.14. So pila man ang 30, 6.14 times 30, pila man? Para mas dili confusing ang solution. What is the value of 6.14 times 30? 184.2. So that would be 184.2. So, dira pwede na ta mag-cube root. So this would be TB na is equal to the cube root of 184.2. So pila man ang cube root of 184.2? The cube root of 184.2 is 5.69 seconds. So 5.69 seconds. So ang time kung asa mag-reach na niya ang point B, ang box kung asa mag-reach niya ang point B is 5.69 seconds. So we can use that to determine the unsa ang iyahang velocity at point B ug ang iyang acceleration at point B also. So magamit nato na ning 5.69 seconds. So we will continue our solution. So just a continuation, um, di ba ang pag-determine sa magnitude of its acceleration is using the Pythagorean theorem of at squared plus an squared. So ang tangential acceleration nato was 0.2t. So at time na mag-reach niya ang point B is 5.69 seconds. So substitute lang nato diri sa point 2. So 8t is equal to 0.2 TB. Mo na ang time kung asa ma-reach niya ang point B. So that would be 0.2 times 5.69. And that would be our tangential acceleration at point B. So kung i-draw nato diri, kung na-diri si box, so that is our 80. And also, determine po dato si AN afterwards. So pila man nato ang tangential acceleration once ma-substitute nato si koan, si time na 5.69. 0.2 times 5.69, that is 1.14 meters per second squared because we're using meters sa to ang unit. And sa AN, always should siya na V squared over rho. So ang V nato was, if we go back sa itong equation, that is 0.1 t squared. So 0.1 t squared. So ang velocity niya at point B is using that time na 5.69 seconds. So ang velocity niya when it reaches at point B is 0.1 times 5.69 squared. So pila to ang velocity ana? .24. So 3.24 meters per second. Mo na ang velocity sa box kung ma-reach na niya ang point B ha. So that will be equal to VB squared over the rho. So that is 3.24 squared over ang ato ang radius of curvature kay ang 2 meters given there is atong problem sa figure. So that is 2 meters. So ang ato ang normal acceleration pila man? That is 5.25. So 5.25 meters per second squared. So na namatay AT and AN, masolve na nato ang acceleration sa box when it reach at point B. So that would be equal to the square root of 1.14 squared plus 5.25 squared. O pila man nato ang acceleration when it reaches at point B. 5.37 meters per second squared. So the acceleration of box when it reaches the point B is 5.37 meters per second squared. So that is how you solve for this third example problem, especially given ang ato ang tangential acceleration o kanang kung naka equation siya or naka variable, especially with respect to time, that is, for example, there is atong problem that is 80 is equal to 0.2t. So that is how you solve the problem.